Hey, what's up guys? Today's video is going to be about 5 English rules that your teacher taught you wrong. Or should that be wrongly? I don't know, I'll let you decide by the end of this video. So before I start, I should let you know that I myself am an English teacher. I have a certificate in teaching English as a foreign language, and I'm currently volunteering at an academy in Milwaukee which teaches English to speakers of other languages. So I believe that it is important to learn the rules of the English language. But even more important than that, you need to know when not to follow the rules, and you need to know why these rules are not correct. So if you haven't done so yet, before we get into the video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up on the video. That will just help me spread my message and help other people continue learning languages even more. So, what are these 5 rules that your English teachers are teaching you wrong? The first one is that you've probably heard in English you must never end a sentence with a preposition. This is a very common misconception, and it's just flat not true. For example, if you take the sentence, "What did you do that for?" It's a question, and you're ending your sentence with a preposition, the word for. And this is just a very normal, very natural thing for English speakers to say. If you're a linguist and you're studying the way people speak English, you're not going to go to the grammar book and look up the way they're supposed to speak English. You're going to go out into the street, listen to the way people actually speak, and you're going to come away from this study absolutely convinced that in English, it is 100% normal to end your sentences with a preposition. Okay? If you go about your life trying to not end sentences with prepositions, you're going to sound very foreign, and it's just going to be very obvious that you don't speak English as your native language, because native speakers always break this rule. In order to end my example sentence without a preposition, you would have to say, "For what did you do that?" which just sounds bizarre. If you wanted to say, "Which store did you go to?" without ending the sentence with a preposition, you would have to say, "To which store did you go?" And I'm just here to tell you today, if English is not your native language and you don't have natural instincts about this sentence, it just sounds way too formal, and people never actually speak like that in real life. Now, there are some situations in writing and you need to sound really professional, then that's where you might apply this rule. But if you're speaking in real life, do not follow the rule, because you're just going to sound very unnatural. The second misconception that you may have heard is that you should never say me and you. Okay, there's a lot of people who think that the only way to configure these two pronouns is that it must always be you and I. Okay, and this is just wrong on a lot of levels. Okay, first of all, there's the prescriptivist versus descriptivist level, in the sense that if you go on the street and you listen to the way people actually speak, they are using the form me and you. So they would say, me and you are gonna go out to eat later tonight. He saw me and you walking down the street. These are very normal sentences for people to say in English. Now, generally speaking, the pronoun me is an object pronoun, and the pronoun I is a subject pronoun. So, if you wanted to say, he saw me, that's correct, because me is the object of the sentence. You would never say, he saw I. Okay? Now, if you say that, this is a mistake, because native speakers would never say, he saw I. Now, if you were going to say, I saw him, this is a correct use of the pronoun I, because it's the subject. You would never say, me saw him. All right, because me is, generally speaking, the object of the sentence, not the subject. Now, it gets a little bit tricky, because when you're using compound subjects like this, native speakers of English start to break the rules. So you will hear people say things like, me and you saw him, or me and you went to the store to buy some pizza yesterday. You do hear this from time to time. Plenty of very intelligent people who do speak like that, but you should just be aware of some of the connotations and some of maybe the prejudices. If you get a real snobby English speaker, they might hear you say that and then think you're not very good at English. Okay, so it is important to be aware of these rules. There are times where it absolutely is grammatical to say me and you. And in fact, if you were to say you and I in some circumstances, that would just be flat wrong. And I love, it's like a sweet vindication where I end a sentence with you and me, or me and you, and then someone points out, they think they're gonna like catch me in my grammar mistake. They say, it's not you and me, it's you and I. And then I get this sweet vindication. I get to tell them, no, you're wrong, because me is the object of the sentence. It's not descriptively wrong, it's only prescriptively wrong. And I've done a few videos in the past about the difference between prescription and description. So if you want to learn more about that, you should go back and watch my Linguistics 101 videos. So that's me and you. Number 3, split infinitives. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. In Spanish and in French and in Latin, you just can't split your infinitives, okay? Because the infinitive is built into the verb itself. In English, it's different, which is why you get things like to boldly go where no man has gone before. Sorry for that. And this just sounds very normal. It sounds very poetic to an English speaker, a native English speaker. It sounds much better than saying to go boldly where no man has gone before. And it doesn't sound wrong. It doesn't stick out in my ear. Your English teacher might tell you that you shouldn't say it that way, but I'm here to tell you today that it sounds just fine to the ears of a native English speaker. The fourth misconception you might have heard about English is that ain't is not a word. Or if you want to be a little bit snarky about it, you say ain't a word. Okay, if you're under the impression that ain't is not a word, then you're confused about what a word is, right? Because this is a word. It has a meaning. You can speak it, you can write it, and people will understand what you mean by this word because it's a word. So I don't get where people are coming up with this idea that it's not a word, right? Maybe because people didn't use it hundreds of years ago, which they actually did. But new words come into our language all the time, and they're words, right? We have the word Wi-Fi, we have to tweet, or to FaceTime. These are words now, right? To Google, I'm going to Google that. These are words that didn't exist a long time ago, but they're words. And sometimes I'll hear people argue about, well, is ain't in the dictionary? It is in the dictionary, but that's not the definition of what a word is. Okay? If a new word comes into the language and it's not in the dictionary yet, it's still a word. It's the dictionary's job to catch up to the language. So that's why they come out with new editions of the dictionary to include the new words. All right, the dictionary writers are not the people that have the authority to tell you what a word is. They are the ones that are going out and listening to the way people speak and listening to new words, and they have to try to catch up to the language, not the other way around. And the last misconception that I want to touch on is good can be used as an adverb. Okay, you may have heard a lot that good is an adjective and well is the adverb form of this, because good is an adjective that modifies nouns, well modifies verbs and adjectives and other adverbs. But if you listen to the way people speak, again, we use good as an adverb all the time. And you will not sound unnatural if you use the word good as an adverb. Now, if you're taking an English test, or if you're writing in a scholarly setting, if you're doing some formal writing, you do want to avoid using good as an adverb. But if you listen to the song, I Feel Good, okay, I'm not sure who sings that song. Let me look this up really quick. I Feel Good. It's by James Brown. All right. This is just the first one that comes to my mind. And there are lots of examples that you can probably find of people using good as an adverb. Okay? And the song just wouldn't have the same punch. If it was, I feel well, it would be grammatically correct according to the prescriptivist standards, which to me are useless. But it just wouldn't feel the same. It would be way too formal for this song. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it's giving you some food for thought. I'm not saying you should always break these rules, but you should be educated about them, and you should understand when and where to break them. So don't just always think that language is this very rigid, structured entity that you have to break your back trying to follow certain rules that don't make sense. You don't have to follow all the rules. Native speakers don't follow all the rules that they were taught in their English class. There are certain rules that do need to be followed, but in general, people get a little bit too uptight about breaking grammar rules that they perceive to be important. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.